distance in the light, vibration of a thundercloud.
Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and this is the My Sober Addiction Podcast. And we are happy, healthy, wealthy, and free. And we are also joined by the lovely Kitty. Say hello, Kitty.
Hello, all.
Well, told you. Anyway, loved ones, Kitty is what you would call an empath. Now, most people hear that term, especially those of us who are in the woo-woo stuff, you know, with the, I hate to use the term new age because it's so, it's just such a buzzword, but whatever. And plus, I kind of loathe the term new age. I really kind of do, but whatever. We'll go with it. It is what it is, right?
Right.
So there's that. So Kitty is an empath. What that means in real life terms is that she is a community therapist, meaning everybody is drawn to her to just dump all their stuff on her. And while she's a very, very supportive, kind person and that always wants to do the best for people, it is sometimes she's one of those people, you know, and most of us do have a certain degree of empathy, by the way. And where we, when you walk into a room and you can feel the energy of a room, like let's say if you walk into a room and you know the whole expression, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife or whatever. But somebody who's an empath is especially sensitive to it. And then I got to believe that other people who seek out maybe some kind of either attention or maybe validation for their feelings or whatever, they always are drawn to people who are more empathetic than others. So then you take someone like Kitty, who is the community therapist. Everybody just kind of comes to her and just kind of dumps all of their crap on her. And I know her very well. She doesn't mind. In fact, she loves to be able to help people. She wants to be of service to her fellow human beings. I would think that it's hard to not let all that attach to you and stick with you. So with that, Kitty, tell me a little bit about yourself as far as being an empath and empathy and all of that goes.
You're right in the aspect of like when you go into a room or you go to anywhere where there's a group of people, you can tell pretty much what the vibe is in there, or you could pick out the one person in there and say, everybody's doing good, everybody's happy, jolly, having a good time, but over in the corner, you've got one that is just completely sad or disappointed or angry or frustrated, whatever. You can pick up individual vibes. So like if you go to a show or a performance or anything where there's a large gathering of people, it can be overwhelming because you're taking in, if you don't have like a bubble around you, something to protect you from absorbing all of the energies, because it can mentally and physically drain you because you're taking in all of them at one time.
With regards to people's negativity sticking to you, it's like with me, yeah, I can tell when there's issues in the room. I can walk in a room and I'm like, oh God, it just, it just doesn't feel right in here. But that's about as far as I go with it. I'm not saying I'm not empathetic. I am, but I don't know. But here's what I do know. I do know that people are drawn to you. People will find you in the crowd. See, that's another thing about that crowded room, is that people who have issues or whatever the case may be, of all the people in that room, they will find you. Mm-hmm. I've been around you long enough to know, and I've seen this happen. Well, it's not a coincidence, but people will find you and then they'll kind of entrap you in a way to where you're sitting there just.
You have to listen. You almost do. Sometimes through the years, I guess I've become a little bit better at being able to walk away from a really bad energy or negative energy. But for the most part, you feel their feelings, or you feel their pain, you feel their hurt, and you have a compassion for them because you're absorbing their energy.
So you know how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And by being a compassionate person that you are, it's hard sometimes to, I guess, to
Break away.
yeah, that kind of thing. So, but you do have to find some kind of balance because you
Yes.
do have to still live your own life. I guess I've had a couple of questions, but my first real question, I guess, is how do you stay in your own frame and continue to be happy, even though you are being bombarded with being the community therapist?
It can be overwhelming. You have to have some me time. You have to decompress. You have to shake off their energy. And sometimes you're feeling their energy so deep and so much, you don't even know if it's your feelings that you're feeling or if it's theirs.
That was going to be my next question because I've been around you long enough to know that there have been times where I got to kind of wonder if your feelings are your own or if they're someone else's that you kind of absorbed. What I mean by that is, it's like I will see you earlier in the day, just for example, and you'll be fine. You'll be happy, normal kitty. And then maybe I'll say, I will see someone talking to you and clearly they're dumping all their woes on you. And then maybe I'll see you a little bit later in the day and then you're not exactly your normal happy self. And then I got to wonder, okay, is this that person's energy or feelings or whatever just kind of sticking to you? Or is it that you're kind of annoyed that you got sucked into it again and having to be the therapist again?
Yeah, I don't get annoyed. For the most part, I don't. There have been situations that I have, I guess. But for the most part, it is their energy that sticks to mine. And then I have to separate myself from them, from the situation, from the whole area, the environment, separate myself from them and gain my energy back. Like let mine overpower theirs.
Right. But in cases where you cannot do that, or well,
sometimes, like I do get annoyed, but it's only because sometimes I want to, not everybody's problems or situations are the same. There are some situations, I say this a lot. I'll say it could always be worse. Why? Because either I have just heard somebody and their situation and it was worse than somebody who is really just whining. That's the types of things that annoys me when I'm like,
one of the things I talked about in a recent YouTube video, some people, they are kind of seeking attention or maybe validation for whatever. But then there's other people who really just need to vent. And if they just need to vent, get it off their chest, and then they feel better and they're happy and they can move on. See, in those cases, I'm like, well, yeah, by all means, help that person out. But if it's some of those people who are they're just seeking some kind of validation or maybe attention or whatever the case may be. So they come and they know they can really get you to get into it with them because, so they do that to you. And that kind of angers me because I'm like, well, you're really not solving your problem. All you're doing is drawing more attention to your problem and hence that person's energy to it. So how do you set boundaries? I guess I should say, do you sometimes set boundaries? And if so, how and when?
Well, thankfully, for the most part, when people are telling me something that's going on in their life that's bothering them or, heavy on their mind or their heart, luckily, those are situations and people who just want to be understood. They just want somebody to empathize with them, not sympathize because they either don't want the pity. They just want somebody to be compassionate and understanding. And if you're listening to them tell you their story and you're understanding it and they have your full attention, that means a lot to people and that helps people. And then at the end, if they ask for your opinion or, you give them that guidance or your perspective and help them see it in a different way, but in a kind way. But as far as boundaries go, you can tell pretty much through the years, I've learned how to tell when it's somebody who's just poor me, just wanting sympathy or pity or attention,
Well, like where we've worked together before. And there's been certain people it's almost like they don't really want to fix anything. They really just want to complain and have something to talk about, have a reason to get sympathy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people out there who are kind of addicted to sympathy, who love to find people that they can get sympathy from. And unfortunately, people who are empathetic are more likely targets, I guess, for those types of people.
You can pretty much identify early in the conversation when not to. It's not really a wall, but it's kind of like a surrounding thing where you're kind of half in it and half out of it, where that gives you it's easier for you to break away from the conversation. So a healthy boundary, I guess, is what you could call that. You know when, and not to get totally pacifying them and their complaints and all of that.
So do you ever just get like text somebody and tell them, hey, call me real quick and pull me away from this?
No, but that's a good idea.
I would.
No.
I'd be like texting.
No.
I'd be texting you like, call me in like 3 minutes and tell me you really need me to do something.
For the most part, though, people just want to be heard. They just want somebody who will listen. So.
Yeah, but you could like charge them $80 an hour to do that.
No.
Just kidding. Well, you could. Anyway. So, yeah, I think I've already asked you, though. Is it ever confusing determining which feelings, like, okay, I guess it's more towards the end of one of these encounters, or maybe at the end of the day or whatever. Is it ever confusing determining which feelings are yours, which feelings you are experiencing? Are they yours? Are they actually yours? Or are they feelings that you have picked up from someone else and just kind of packing them along with you now?
A lot of times I will find myself at the end of the day, late at night, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, that poor whoever it was, my heart goes out to him. My heart actually aches. It's like I'm putting myself exactly in that person's shoes, So I feel what they're feeling, but I have to shake it off. I have to decompress. So,
but do you know but I'm saying, is it ever confusing? I mean, I'm glad you said that, but is it ever confusing saying, wow, are these my feelings or are this what I picked up from that other person?
Well, yeah, they're,
I mean, I guess you could tell the difference.
You can tell the difference and sometimes I'm completely 100% relatable because it may have been something that I went through. So that might trigger my old feelings about whatever it is, So I can relate with a complete understanding to that person and what they're going through in certain situations. And in other situations, it's easier for me to admit to myself that's their feelings and that's what they're going through. Yes, I feel horrible for them and I feel their pain, but that's when I can cut that. The only time I ever get confused is when I'm talking to them about theirs and I have a relatable situation. So it might bring up those emotions and feelings and vibes, energy, whatever energy that situation carried.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Of course, I already know the answers to some of these questions. Hello. Kitty is, she's very, of course, she's special to me. That's not a big secret to anybody who listens to this podcast at this point. But, I mean, there are some things that I am kind of curious about because we do talk about these things, but not in this kind of format where I'm kind of interviewing her. Obviously, she's not the only person out there. Some people out there are empaths or whatever and don't even realize. And maybe if that's the case, then you might be hearing this thinking, oh my God, I'm the same way. And if that's the case, well then, by all means, continue to be compassionate to people, but at the same time, don't let them take advantage of you and
suck all your
energy out of you.
Like the vampires,
like the energy vampires do. But, anywho, okay, what do you do to unload all of these negative vibes?
Quiet time. Meditation, quiet time. Basically, you've got to be alone. You've got to release it because there's so many different energies that you pick up throughout the day. By the time you're walking home, you're going to be like packing the weight of the world on your shoulders. So you've got to learn how to shake it off and cut it loose.
Well, I mean, I know. I mean, I've come home early a few times and, well, it was mostly just once that comes to mind. Well, no, I'm sure it was more than once, but I mean, there's one time that comes to mind right now. I came home early and I could tell that as much as she loves me, she wasn't really she wasn't overly joyed to see me at that moment. And I got to believe that it was, I'm not offended by it. I just got to believe that that was probably one of those times where you kind of did need that time alone.
Oh, yeah.
And then here I come rolling in the house, 3 or 4 hours early, and you're like, oh, good, here you are. Well, I was right in the middle of doing that.
Trying to lose the feelings and put my mind in a better place and my feelings. Sometimes that happens, yes.
Right,
but
well, sorry.
It's not you. It would be anybody walking through that door.
Right.
It's sometimes you've got to have that time in order to get rid of all of the energy that's like suitcases full. Everybody's suitcase of their energy, their baggage, it attaches to us.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, loved ones. People always seem to not just want to unload all their emotional, energetic baggage on her, but they also seem to come to Kitty for advice. And it's kind of funny because she said she was told years ago from someone that she was going to live to be an old age, and someone was, and people were going to come to her for advice.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of encouraged her to start a YouTube channel so that she could put out her little nuggets of wisdom and things, and she has done so. Now, don't run out there and look to find 100 videos by her yet. I mean, she does have a handful of shorts on there and stuff, and she's uploading content as she gets inspired to do so. Yes. But anyway, what is the name of your channel?
It is Real Life SOS.
Yes, it is. Real Life SOS on YouTube, and it is pretty good. And she's actually gotten some pretty decent interactions with people just in the short amount of time that she's been doing it. Because in order to get any kind of traction on YouTube, it takes a long time. Most people will do videos every single day for a year and still really not have any kind of traction. And then at some point, it eventually will take off if there's quality in the content. But yeah, but she's, literally been, maybe a few weeks now?
Yeah, yeah.
And she's already had some decent interactions. For the amount of time she's been doing it, it's really a lot, actually.
Yeah, and it's just, like you said, it's only when I feel inspired, and then I'll get on there and share that. And a lot of people, the things that I'm doing right now, it seems like we all know the things that I get on there and say, but we get so caught up in life and the rat race of just getting up, going to work, doing what you got to do and all that we forget to incorporate these little, these YouTube shorts, what I mentioned in those.
The little nuggets of wisdom.
Yeah, so they're like, just little, just life help, little things that we can remember.
Well, like I said, people I've seen it. They come up to you for advice a lot. They really do. And that's fine. That's good. But then, I'm like, well, you should start a YouTube channel. Why not? That way you can put the advice out there. So yeah, Real Life SOS is her channel's name. So far, your focus has been real life, day to day, or used to.
Yeah, just remembering little things like no matter where you are in life, what you're doing, leave things better than the way you find them. Things like that. Just being nice to people and understanding that not everybody is where you're at. Not everybody is privy to the same things that you are. Just treat people kind. And then also, I have lost my mother earlier this year, and I have a video on there about grief and the loss of losing a mother.
Well, that's what I was going to mention is you do have one that's just pretty much the whole point of the thing is, and it's a short, so it's 1 minute or less. But the whole point of the thing is call your mom. It's like, no excuse, just call your mom. Call your mom.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and it sounds kind of, it's like, okay, call my mom. No, seriously.
Yeah, call your mom. She loves you. She misses you. Sometimes our mothers just want to hear our voices, Even if you're mad, even if you had a disagreement earlier in the day, put that behind you and call your mom. You only get one, and she's not going to be here forever. And
I can tell you from her losing her mother, what, has it been 7 months now? 8 months almost? 8 months now? Just about, well, yeah, she would love to call her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yes.
I know this. So speaking of that, you had another where you were talking about you used an analogy of chairs. And I don't know if this was something you came up with yourself or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, the internet recycles information around all the time anyway. But you used an analogy about chairs and kind of like the hierarchy in a family and stuff. And I wanted you to kind of talk about that, if you would, please.
Yes, it kind of reminds me, and I never looked at it before this way, but it's kind of like the females in your family, and it could be with the males in your family as well, but where I'm relating to it right now is like the matriarch. She sits in the top chair. Well, when the matriarch goes, then the next in line has to scoot up to her chair, and she becomes the matriarch. So basically, when my mother's gone, I have to scoot up to the next chair, and then my daughter will scoot up into my chair, and so on and so forth. And then her daughter, and it's a cycle. It's the way it is. But when I first lost my mother, I was like, I don't want to move chairs, that's mom's chair, it's just,
Yeah, and I mean, this is a cycle that's been going on, because we may look down our line, down our line now. You might look down the line and see your daughter and then maybe your granddaughter. Look down the line and think, I don't know. Or they may be looking up the line thinking, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. But it's been going on for a long time. Like your mom's mom and her mom's mom has just been going on and on like that. So it's really just a natural progression of things. But most people don't realize it, that you do need to step up and fill a role.
Yeah.
When people are gone. I mean, your family kind of is counting on you to do that, I guess.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, now you don't have that person to go to because you are that person. Now others have that person to go to. It's just, you can't leave the chair empty. You have to scoot up no matter how much you don't want to. You got to do it for the others.
Right. And, with regards to mothers, a mother's love knows no bounds. We know this. And especially, and I don't, and I've talked about this many times now, and I am not apologetic. No, I don't talk a whole lot about addiction on the podcast much anymore. I'm not saying that I won't. I just haven't lately. And the only reason why is because while addiction taught me a lot, I mean, it really did taught me a lot. And it set me on the path that I'm on. But it's not the path that I'm on. I'm not, so I'm moving on from addiction. But I'm taking the lessons that I learned, of course, and the fact that I am what you would call a seeker, truth seeker, spiritual truth seeker, whatever. So anyway, with that said, I do still, from time to time, go back and touch on addiction. So, and I know that during the first time you did this podcast with me, we talked about addiction and how you were touched by it in your own family and with your own kids and other members of your family that I don't know if you want to mention them or not, but and that's fine. We don't have to go there. But what I was getting at a second ago is a mother's love, it knows no bounds. I mean, it really doesn't. I know that because just based on what my own mother put up with from me with my own addiction. Yeah. But it would seem as though that it would seem that love does get tested at times. But then again, that's not true either. It's because, again, it's still a mother's love. So it's like, well, as much as you might have put her through, initially I would think, well, you're really testing your mother's love. No, you're kind of not. I mean, it would seem as though, but you're not. You're more testing her patience, I guess.
Yeah, and what you really doing, even, you think, there's no way somebody could love me for all the stuff I've done or for the things I've said through addiction. But what I think addicts don't understand is not only does a mother she doesn't love you any less. If anything, she loves you even more because she sees your struggles and her heart breaks because she can't fix it. And that's what mothers do. They fix things for their children, or they try to. But when addiction is in the equation, you don't stop loving your children ever. Yeah, you get a little impatient with them sometimes, but you don't.
You get a little fed up with sick of their shit, pretty much.
Well, and yeah, but at the same time, you you love them even more because you know that child or that person better than anybody else does, and you know that they're suffering on the inside as well. So through our love, we think that we can fix you, but what we really need to do is quit trying to fix you and quit trying to enable and get out of the way and let you learn, but still be there to catch you. Don't ever stop supporting. Like I said, some people might think that the mothers get tested, but it's not really a test of their love. If anything, their love grows even stronger.
Like I said, this is it began as a podcast about addiction, and I still do talk about it from time to time. But with having gone through with your own kids and then with other members of your family, which I'm not going to mention only because, we don't have their permission to talk about that.
Right.
And we do respect privacy.
Yes.
Then again, when it comes to kids, they'll be all right. Screw them. They'll be fine.
No.
I'm just kidding. Kind of. But anyway.
No.
Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Do you have anything else you would like to say, Miss Real Life SOS on YouTube? That was a terrible plug, wasn't it?
Yes. Okay. Well, just check it out. Like and subscribe if you like the content. I'll be posting more.
That's right. Like and subscribe even if you don't like it.
No.
I'm just kidding. Well, what's not to like? It's just, it's just basic
Life
real life stuff. I mean, it's probably stuff you already know. I mean, like one of her most popular videos, it's stuff you already know. Like what was the one? Be nice to people.
Yeah, just be nice.
Yeah. I mean, that one, she got a lot of hits off of that and a lot of comments and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, how more plain spoken and simple of a message can you have? Be nice to people. It ain't that freaking hard.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're at, what you have, what you don't have.
But that kind of stuff resonates with people because it's like, yeah, why don't you do that? I mean, because some people, if you really just kind of stop and reel yourself in once in a while and be like, what if somebody was talking to me that way? Or more specifically, what if someone was talking to one of my kids the way I'm talking to this person?
Right.
What would my reaction be? That's all.
Yeah, and if we take our egos out of a lot of our, and I don't mean ego in a bad way, I'm talking about ourself.
Your personality.
And yes, we take that out of it and operate from a more conscious level, then we will be treating people nice, treating them the way they should be treated.
Okay, well, I'll wrap it up because I try not to drag these out too long. I really appreciate you coming on here and doing this 40th episode. She did the 20th with me, and now we are at the 40th, so maybe I'll get her back for the 60th, or maybe I'll get her back for one before that. That would be cool. Yeah. After the 20th one, we actually discussed doing a full-time podcast together. What will we discuss? That's the $1 million question. But, I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But right now, I mean, I'm doing this stuff on YouTube and I'm having a blast. I think it's great. I love the podcast, but with regards to editing and all that stuff, I don't always have time to do it. I'm sorry, I just don't. But with the YouTube, I'm just kind of doing one-offs, just one take wonder. I'm not editing at all. Of course, Kitty, with her knowledge of photography, like she's taught me how to make thumbnails for my YouTube videos. So those at least look pretty nice.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she
and the more you do them, the better you'll get.
Yeah, that's probably true. I probably should go back and make some for my earlier videos because those look kind of dumb. But anyway, loved ones, that's what we got. Yeah. If you on the podcast, in the description, what the hosting platform is now doing is they have a chat feature where it says, have a question for Matt or something like that. If you have any suggestions for the podcast, or if you just have a question, if you want me to retouch on a subject, or if you just want to tell me to kick rocks or whatever you want to do, just get on there and let me have it. And also, when you are on YouTube, which don't you tell me you're not on YouTube. We all get on YouTube and doom scroll ourselves to death sometimes. So when you are on YouTube, please find me, Matt Stevens, MSA, and then you can find Kitty at Real Life SOS. And Yeah, and I'm still on Substack, although because I haven't had a whole lot of time lately for the podcast, I'm sorry to say I have had to take it once every 2 weeks, and I haven't been doing a whole lot on Substack either, but I have a little here and there. Anyway, loved ones, that's what I got. I love you, and Kitty, say goodbye or whatever you want to say.
Thanks for listening, guys. See you next time. Or listen to you next time. Are you hear me next time?
Whatever.
Yeah.
You want to see her, go to YouTube.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
that.
do that. Anywho, I love you, and I'll be back. Come on, say it.
Directly.
That's right.
There is a distance in the